Well, I thought we, really battled and competed tonight at a really high level. Obviously, coming into a difficult environment, I thought we had really good composure. We struggled, I thought, in the first half offensively. I thought we came out the third quarter and had better ball movement. They obviously went on some runs. I thought we really hung in there pretty well, and give our guys a lot of credit for how hard they competed and how hard they played. The difference in the game was the fact that they went to the free throw line 34 times. To me, that was really something that was very difficult to overcome. We didn't shoot a particularly good percentage when we got into the lane and we got into the deep paint. So I think, our shooting percentage, we've always been a pretty good deep paint finishing team. But I think our inability maybe to finish some plays around the basket where we had a chance to, coupled with the free throws, was certainly a difference in the game.
Billy Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman, that hard to score in the paint, how much of that was attributed to Bogut playing much more tonight than he had in the rest of the series? And I think he played 30 minutes.
Yeah. He played well. I think one of the things that hurt our rhythm and flow a little bit is I thought Stevens' 2 early fouls, taking him off the bench. But, I think Steving out there with, Bogut, around the basket, to your point, it does give us a chance to offensive rebound, when we have a little bit of size. And I think with Steven off the floor at that point in time, I think we were small when we had to take him out of the game. But, Bogut contributed, obviously, tonight to their team.
Anthony Snyder with the Oklahoma. Billy, you mentioned some of their runs, but is the one that's maybe the most killer that 8-0 burst to start the fourth quarter when they kind of had all their bench players out there? Yeah,
they got a good lift there. They went on that. It was just 2 baskets, to be honest with you. It was, I think it was a 3 and then a 2 by Livingston, then a 3, and we called timeout. It was 5 points there, and I think it was, the lead went to 9 pretty quickly, on just 2 possessions, and we didn't have 2 great offensive possessions, or really was 1 offensive possession in the fourth because they started with the ball. So, but again, our guys got back in. Kevin had a chance with a shot to, I think, cut it to 3 at one point. We got back into range. We had our opportunities, and again, I give our guys credit. They battled and fought the whole entire game, and when you go on the road and play, it's not going to always be smooth and easy, and you're going to have to deal with some adversity, and I thought our guys handled it very well and gave ourselves an opportunity.
Dean Blevins, CBS Oklahoma City. You got nothing inside from Ennis, but really he only had 6 minutes. What was behind that? Were his minutes down because of not producing, or was it more of a?
Yeah, I think for us, from a strategic standpoint, just different matchups that we're looking at and trying to inject him in the game and give him an opportunity to be productive and kind of help. I thought he had some opportunities, even the last couple games where he's been in position to grab a couple offensive rebounds that he hasn't been able to quite hold. He's had a couple plays around the rim that, he hasn't been able to quite finish. But I still have confidence in it and still feel like he can have an impact. But I think for us, looking at different matchups, that makes sense for him where he can be effective is important too.
Coach Donovan right here. Tariq Majedi with Afghanistan basketball. Just wondering, how do you explain the fact that there's been such a free throw discrepancy for the home team, except for game 1, I think? Every game has had the home team significantly lead in free throw attempts.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Again, we're a team. I think that at least for us, I can comment about us. We've always been a team that's gotten to the free throw line at a very high rate. Over the regular season, I think if you look at it, but certainly. I think the discrepancy tonight for free throws, for whatever reason, that was really to me the difference in the game.
Billy, Michelle Steele, ESPN. The last couple of days, you'd been talking about just, not counting Steph Curry out despite, reports of him being less than 100%. What's going through your mind as a coach tonight when he goes on those, 7-0 runs in the second quarter, starts to take over the game to end the game? How do you combat that?
Well, I mean, I've said this before. I think one of the things that people were talking about, was his shooting percentage or Klay Thompson's shooting percentage, and is it all attributed to our defense? And I hope I was being fair. I said, no. I mean, I've seen these guys make really hard shots, and there's been times when, the ball doesn't go in the basket for them. It's not always attributed to our defense when they don't play well. We hope that we can get a hand up, but the reality is this. Once the ball leaves his hands, and once it leaves Klay Thompson's hands, and once it leaves Durant's hands, or once it leaves Westbrook's hands, all bets are off. Like, there's nothing else you can do. So you're not discouraging the ball from going in the basket. Once those guys get it off, it's off. And now really you're left at the mercy of the ball going in and out of the basket. So yes, you got to try to challenge those shots as best you can and make them as difficult as you can. But when he's making those kind of shots, you don't get emotionally even involved in that. That's who he is, and that's what he's done, and that's what's made him a very good player. And I think that's, when you look at a guy like Russell or Kevin make those kind of shots, it's the same thing. It's only one basket, you know what I mean? So you just got to be able to move on and move past it and just stay